All right, everyone, welcome back. Welcome to part one of this series on the 1966 Cutlass project. Today I'm going to be covering how to install your dash housing onto your dash pad on a 1966 or 1967 Cutlass or 442. As I said earlier, this is going to be a little mini series just focusing on the dashboard. So this is going to be part one. Without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is take a look at your dash pad. I got this off of Original Parts Group, same with the dash housing. This is just some kind of crappy Chinese deal with both of these per usual. You can see where they didn't exactly put the most effort into this. The whole thing. But that's really just the beggars can't be choosers kind of thing with these old cars. Not a whole lot of people make these, especially in quality. So, what you're going to do is you're going to take your dash housing and you're going to locate your studs on your housing. There's going to be one on the side right here, then here, over to the left, here, and there. So you're going to take your dash housing, if I can get my tripod to stabilize, you're going to take your dash housing and you're going to make sure all your holes line up with your studs. You're going to want to be very careful about how you do this, because keep in mind this is cheap Chinese plastic. And if you put too much pushing force into this, it's going to crack on you. It's guaranteed. I'm wearing plastic gloves because I don't want the oils from my fingerprints to get on the plastic. Now see, down here, I have an issue where this is not lining up. Underneath this completely high quality vinyl wrap on this dash pad, there is metal. It's a metal frame. So if you put a little bit of pressure, gradually, you can bend this into place where you want. So I will get to that later. So now you're going to take your supplied washers and you are going to line them up with your studs. Start from here, then work my way over. Sorry that I have to move the tripod around so much. I don't exactly have a whole lot of space in here. So now your next one is going to be between where your speaker would be and your ignition. And the next one is going to be between your badge and then the speaker. And then the next one is going to be on the side over here. If I can find where that other washer ran off to. So now that you've got your washers in place, now you're going to take the supplied nuts that come with this, that come with the dash pad, not the housing. These two were sold separately on Original Parts Group. When you order the dash pad, the nuts and washers will come with the dash pad, not the housing. So now what you're going to do, you're going to get, you're going to get the little nuts just snug down. You don't want to go putting too much pressure on this, because remember, this is plastic. It will crack very easily. You need to be very careful with this. So starting on this side, then moving over to this side. Then taking an 11/32 sized socket with a 1/4 inch extension. Just get it down a little bit. Good for now. Now going over to these two. And then just kind of in a crisscross pattern, I guess, just slowly start to snug all them down. Issue that you're going to run into on these dash pads is that none of the holes line up for any of the bolts or studs. So on the old one, you see it fits. If we go over to the one on the new pad, it doesn't even start to thread. The hole's too small. So I'm going to show y'all how to fix that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to take a drill. Sorry, I have the camera zoomed in so that way y'all can see where I'm drilling. You're going to take your drill. You're going to use a 11/64 size bit. Probably butchered that, but I'll show y'all what size you need. It's going to be this one right here, 11/64. You're going to use that. And you're going to slowly drill this hole out. Try and keep the bit as straight as possible while you're doing this. And go slow speed and apply minimal pressure so that way you don't go stressing the plastic, and so that way you don't go drilling too far. As you can see, it's starting to work. Yeah, it's going to take a little while for this to keep on drilling, but if you want to do it right, this is the way you got to do it. Gradually speed up over time too. As you can see, it's working. Remember to keep the bit as straight as you can too. That's going to be a very, very big factor in this. So now you're going to take your stud. This is going to be what's holding your dash pad to the dash frame, I guess, in the car. So as you can see, you're going to take this end. This is what your nut goes on to on the other end. This screws in. And you don't use a thread tap with this because it's plastic. You're just going to take whatever size socket it's going to need. You're just going to run this down very slowly, and it's going to cut its own threads, as you can see. So give me 1 minute. I will get a socket for that, and I will show you all how it works. Now that you've got a 9mm size socket, just going to slowly run it down. Now, is it excessive to do this at the speed that I'm doing it at? Probably not. Probably so you be the judge of that. But this is just the way that I do it. I've been waiting for this housing for about half a year now, so I'm just trying to take my time with it. I'm in no rush. As you can see, it's slowly starting to work its way down. And another thing, measure the distance of when this nut is flush with the base as to how far down it's going to be. You don't want to go drilling too far down. As you can see, get some light. As you can see, it's cutting its own threads. Now I have to keep drilling and go a little bit deeper because, well, came up a little short. So I will get back to y'all in a minute, but this is how it works. Very, very simple. Just take your time with this. As y'all can see, it's flush, it fits now, works perfectly. So now you're just gonna go and repeat this with every single other hole that isn't the size for your bolts. And in my case, I pray to God that it isn't the same case as y'all's, but it's every single one of these, even these for the circuit board. So I will get back to y'all in about 30 minutes on this. So all the best, but this is what you want to do specifically with these studs. The speaker and the heater controls and the circuit board, that's going to be a different size, but what I found works best, you're going to take your original dash pad, assuming that you still have it. Now I don't have any bigger drill bits, so I'm just using the smallest one I have. Figure out what size fits it without having to force it in, and then go to the next size up. And I mean, as y'all saw what I did over here, just go with the flow. It should work itself out. So I'll get back to y'all in about 30 minutes. Another thing about this cheap plastic, be very, very careful whenever you go drilling. Try and keep it about 50 RPM, something like that, very, very low speed. The reason why, this plastic wants to flex. So if you take a look whenever I'm tightening it, try and get it as still as possible. You notice how it wants to flex? This plastic moves and flexes very, very carefully. If you drill too fast and your bit gets stuck, even then when you begin drilling, it's going to flex a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Just keep it very, very low speed, low pressure, pushing the drill bit in. Let the drill do the work for you. Whenever you go to put this in, it's going to cut its own threads. You don't have to worry about a thread tap, at least in my case. So just go very, very slow whenever you're drilling and installing this. Now I have to take these out because the metal bracket that holds the lights and the wiper controls goes under this. But I'm just letting y'all know, be very, very careful when y'all are putting these studs in. Alright, so for this hole right here, you're going to have to drill this out. It's going to be a 5/32 size bit. Just going to do the same as you do with the studs up here. Just going to put the nut in, let it make its own threads. It's going to be a size 5/32. These 3 bolts for your heater controls are going to be 5/32 sized drill bit as well, and so is this one. Every now and again when you're drilling through the dash pad, stop and take a flashlight, use a shop vac, suck all the debris out, and then look at the metal. Go very, very slow and apply good pressure when you're going through the dash pad, and as soon as you go through the metal, you'll feel like it's really, really easy to drill, and that's when you're going to want to stop. You're then going to take your stud in a 9mm socket, and you're going to work its way down. You're going to do the same for this one as well. These 5/32 size drill bit, they just go right in and they cut their own threads. Same with these. This is different though, going through the pad. So now that you've got all your holes drilled out, you're going to take this bracket, and this is going to slide over your cigarette lighter. It's going to go over. And this is going to go under your stud, just like so. And then after that, I have to put the circuit board in first. This is going to go on just like this. Well, it needs to be aligned, but this is going to go under the stud, and this is going to go onto the circuit board. I've made a little progress off camera. I got the dash pad in with the dash housing. Now I'm over here with the old one. So after you pull the speedo out, I'll get to that in a minute, how I did that. You're going to want to get this out. You're going to take a little flat blade screwdriver. I'm going to wedge it between this little grommet behind it, and it should lift up just like that. I'm going to do that over here. I need both hands to do that, so I'll get back to you all in a minute. So you're going to want to pull out your fuel gauge. These 3 holes for your fuel gauge are going to be a 1/8 size drill bit. Fuel gauge should look something like this when you install it. These brackets pop right out, and then they go over here, and then you just got to bolt them down. So whenever you go to put the red covers back in for your accessory bezel, or the gauge for it, these are going to break on you, these little rubber bezels. So what I did was I got some Scotch glue, and you want to clean the surface here, and then you want to clean both surfaces of this. And what I did was, I'll show you how I did it. I'm gonna take a little bit of this glue. I'm gonna put it just on that little corner right there. And the same over here. Just that little bit is all you need. That's all you want as well. However, what you don't want is that to get on your brand new dash pad. Alright, so now you're going to take this little lens. Hard to do it with one hand, but I'll try my best for y'all. Now, just going to align it just like that. Just like that. And then you're just going to let the glue do its job, let it do the work for you. Now you just got to repeat that with this one. Onto the bracket that holds the tachometer. I couldn't get the grommets out of the original dash pad, so I took a 7/32 drill bit, and I drilled these holes out to take these little Harbor Freight bolts. Looks like an M5 by 0.8 by 30 millimeter. So just take these little bolts after you drill it out, and then use I'll put a washer on here, and then go through, bolt it up on the other side. So with the tachometer bracket, I wasn't able to get the original grommets out, so I took Harbor Freight nuts and bolts, and I just stacked a washer on each side and ran them through. As you can see, it's all working fine. Putting the tachometer gauge back in, you're just going to run this through, and there's going to be 2 bolts. Just put them in. Now that you've got the brackets on, this is the way that your headlights are going to go on. There's going to be this little spring right here. You're going to press this, and the knob on the other side is going to pop right out. To install this, this piece, this is just going to screw on, and then you're going to hold this side while tightening this, and it's all going to fall into place. Now with this is a little screw right there. You're going to use a small screwdriver, and it's going to pop right out. So onto the wiper side of the dashboard, you're going to have to take a Dremel to this. I hate to tell y'all. These are really 1967 dashboards. They're just labeled as 1966. So you're going to take a sanding bit, and you're going to want to sand it just a little bit bigger than I did. The reason why is because you see these little prongs right here, these 3 prongs. You just get it big enough to where it'll catch, and then the backing behind those prongs will catch, and you've got just enough to screw it on and bolt the handle on, and you're in business. This is just what you need. And you see, just the way I did it, it doesn't wiggle a whole lot, and when I fasten it down, it's not going to budge. So you're going to take a sanding bit to that. And as you can see on the back, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but a sanding bit to that with minimal pressure. I had mine at about 2,000 RPM. Keep yours around 1,700, between 1,000 and 1,700. Applying minimal pressure, and have the Dremel on your right or left cheek, depending on whichever arm you use to Dremel. And you're going to apply a little bit of pressure, and this is what you're looking for, just a figure similar to this. All right, so I forgot to mention, you're going to need to trim this bracket. Maybe I just cut it in half and then put it behind the wipers bracket, I guess you call this. I just cut it in half. Oops. Over to here, to this black piece that covers up part of the radio. You're just going to trim part of the top, not the backing that holds it into place. You're going to trim using I'll show y'all, a bit like this at about 2,000 RPM with minimal to no pressure. You're just going to go across the top, not the bottom, not the sides. I made the mistake, I kind of chewed it up a little bit around here. Oops. But you're just going to go across the top right here, and then check it, see if it fits, and it'll line up just like it did for me.